To order, all rise for flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This meeting is convened in accordance with provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act of New Jersey. Let the official minutes reflect that adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by publishing a notice in the Asbury Park Press on Wednesday, January 8th, 2020, the Press of Atlantic City, and the Star Ledger, and also forwarded to the Toms River Times, Toms River Patch, and WOBM News on Monday, January 6th, 2020, and thereafter posting same on the Town Hall Bulletin Board for such notices and filing same with the Township Clerk, pursuant to a resolution adopted by the Township Council on Friday, January 3rd, 2020. The meeting dates have also been posted on the Township webpage. Our agenda is also posted on the Township webpage. Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Yurick.
Here.
Councilman Kopp.
Here.
Councilman Latano.
Here.
Councilman Roderick.
Here.
Councilman Turnbach.
Here.
Council Vice President Gagan.
Here.
Council President Maruka.
Present.
First item, the approval of minutes of February 11, 2020.
Move the minutes?
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Turnbach, second by Councilman Kopp. Councilman Turnbach.
Yes.
Councilman Kopp.
Yes.
Councilwoman Yurick.
I have to abstain. I was not present.
Councilman Latano.
Yes.
Councilman Roderick.
Yes.
Council Vice President Gagan.
Yes.
Council President Maruka.
Yes.
Next, we have our honoring resolutions and presentations. We have Children's Dental Health Month, and we have the League of Women Voters of Monmouth and Ocean Counties and the Girl Scouts of the Jersey Shore.
Move the resolutions.
Second.
Motion made by Councilwoman Yurick, second by Council Vice President Gagan. Councilwoman Yurick.
Yes.
Council Vice President Gagan.
Yes.
Councilman Kopp.
Yes.
Councilman Latano.
Yes.
Councilman Roderick.
Yes.
Councilman Turnbach.
Yes.
Council President Maruka.
Yes. Mayor, would you like to join us for the presentations? Test? Okay. Our first presentation, I'm going to ask Mayor Hill if he would do the proclamation for us. It's for the American Dental Association, which is sponsoring the National Children's Dental Health Month. Mayor?
Thank you, Council President. I'd like to call up Dr. Velasquez. Why don't you come on up? It's interesting, Dr. Velasquez's office has been doing this for 16 years, and what they do is called Give Kids a Smile. And she and her staff provided services from 8 in the morning till noon. And the interesting thing is my partner was her instructor in dental school. So she has a pediatric office on Lakehurst Road. I will tell you that when we were over there, the office was jammed. I don't know, how many people did you see? How many children?
Nearly 75.
75 children she saw. So every year she does this with her staff. And as you know, February is Children's Dental Health Month, so the Give Kids a Smile is the logo that the ADA has, and we have a proclamation here for you and your staff we'd like you to take back and thank them for everything that they did. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Our next proclamations are for the League of Women Voters and also the Girl Scouts of the Jersey Shore, Ocean and Monmouth counties. If representatives from both organizations come on up to the front, and Councilwoman Hurick and myself will do the presentation. Come right in, come on in. A few weeks ago, Councilwoman Hurick notified me of an event that's taking place on March 4th over in Bricktown. It's for the 100th anniversary for the women's right to vote, and the two organizations here this evening have partnered to put on a presentation for the Girl Scouts to see the importance of women's right to vote. And they've asked some female elected officials to come and speak, and Councilwoman Hurick and I will be there along with a couple of the council members, I think from Bricktown, and I think a couple other maybe municipalities. But we wanted to just promote their event on March 7th. That'll be a Saturday morning, and also to recognize them for the good jobs that they do in our community. So on behalf of the entire council, Councilwoman Hurick and I would just like to present this to you. Good luck with your event. We know it's going to be extremely successful, and keep up the good work in our community. And Councilwoman Hurick, would you like to say anything?
I just want to say that my favorite part of this is that when I was called to come participate, they said, you know, it really needs to be nonpartisan. And I said, well, let me ask Maria. I'm sure she'll come. And so we're going to do this together. It's great. I really love that part of it.
Thank you so much.
The Girl Scouts of the Jersey Shore is very happy to be partnering with the League of Women Voters to celebrate the 100th anniversary of the 19th Amendment. And this is a great learning opportunity for all of the girls in Ocean and Monmouth County.
And the League of Women Voters is very happy to partner and to be the educators to carry on women's right to vote and to make sure women continue to rock.
Girl power.
You can have mine. You're welcome. It's really hit or miss. Continuing on with the agenda, item number 7 is an ordinance of the Township of Toms River in the County of Ocean, New Jersey, amending and supplementing Chapter 68, the Division of Community Service, and Chapter 50, Department of Law Enforcement, of the Township Code to reassign the Division of Community Service to the Department of Law Enforcement. This is a final reading, and the public hearing was already held and closed as of January 28th.
Council, we would just need to move the ordinance on final.
Move the ordinance on final.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Turnbuck, seconded by Councilwoman Yurick. Councilman Turnbuck,
Yes.
Councilwoman Yurick,
Yes.
Councilman Kopp,
I need to abstain due to a conflict.
Councilman Latano,
Yes.
Councilman Roderick,
Yes.
Council Vice President Gagan,
I abstain.
Council President Maruka.
Yes.
Item number 8 is an ordinance of the Township of Toms River in the County of Ocean, New Jersey, amending and supplementing various sections of the Township Code to restructure certain administrative departments of the Township government. First reading.
Council's pleasure.
Move the ordinance on first.
Second.
Motion made by Councilwoman Yurick, seconded by Councilman Kopp. Councilwoman Yurick,
Yes.
Councilman Kopp,
Yes.
Councilman Latano,
Yes.
Councilman Roderick,
Yes.
Councilman Turnbuck,
Yes.
Council Vice President Gagan,
Yes.
Council President Maruka.
Yes.
Next item, number 9, is an ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank. First reading.
Move the ordinance on first.
Second.
Motion made by Councilwoman Yurick, seconded by Councilman Turnbuck. Councilwoman Yurick,
Yes.
Councilman Turnbuck,
Yes.
Councilman Kopp,
Yes.
Councilman Latano,
Yes.
Councilman Roderick,
I'm going to abstain. I'm going to need more information.
Council Vice President Gagan,
Yes.
Council President Maruka.
Yes.
Item 10, an ordinance of the Township of Toms River in the County of Ocean, New Jersey, amending and supplementing Section 147-1 salary ranges of Chapter 147 Salaries and Compensation of the Township Code to establish the position and salary range of a certain supervisory employee, Schedule C, and to establish the positions and salary ranges of certain confidential employees, Schedule H. First reading.
Move the ordinance on first.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Yurick, second by Councilman Turnbach. Councilwoman Yurick.
Yes.
Councilman Turnbach.
Yes.
Councilman Kopp.
Yes.
Councilman Latano.
Yes.
Councilman Roderick.
I'm going to abstain. I'm going to need some more information about a new position that's being created in here, a GIS operator. So I'm going to abstain for today, and
Yeah, we're just renaming the position.
it's
You-
okay.
You can speak
We
with
could talk about
the
it.
administrator afterwards, and he can
Afterwards,
bring you
yes.
up to speed.
Okay.
That's an abstention, Mr. Roderick?
Abstention, yes.
Council Vice President Gagan.
Yes.
Council President Maruka.
Yes.
Item 11, an ordinance of the Township of Toms River in the County of Ocean, New Jersey, amending and supplementing Section 165-45, Animal Shelter Fees of Chapter 165, Animals and Animal Establishments of the Township Code to revise the fee structure for cat and dog adoption at the Toms River Animal Shelter. First reading.
Move the ordinance on first.
Second.
Motion was made by Councilwoman Yurick, second by Councilman Roderick. Councilman Latano. Councilwoman Yurick.
Yes.
Councilman Latano.
Yes.
Councilman Kopp.
Yes.
Councilman Roderick.
Yes.
Councilman Turnbach.
Yes.
Council Vice President Gagan.
Yes.
Council President Maruka.
Yes.
Next item is item number 12, an ordinance of the Township of Toms River in the County of Ocean, New Jersey, authorizing a special emergency appropriation pursuant to NJSA 40A:4-53B for the preparation and execution of complete program revaluation of all real property within the township as ordered by the Ocean County Board of Taxation. First reading.
Move the ordinance on first.
Second.
Motion made by Councilwoman Yurick, second by Councilman Kopp. Councilwoman Yurick.
Yes.
Councilman Kopp.
Yes.
Councilman Latano.
Yes.
Councilman Roderick.
Yes.
Councilman Turnbach.
Yes.
Council Vice President Gagan.
Yes.
Council President Maruka.
Yes.
And item 13, a resolution to amend the 2020 temporary budget pursuant to NJSA 40A:4-20.
Move the resolution.
Second.
Motion made by Councilwoman Yurick, second by Councilman Latano. Councilwoman Yurick.
Yes.
Councilman Latano.
Yes.
Councilman Kopp.
Yes.
Councilman Roderick.
Yes.
Councilman Turnbach.
Yes.
Council Vice President Gagan.
Yes.
Council President Maruka.
Yes. Okay, next is our consent agenda. All matters listed under items consent agenda will be enacted by one motion in the form listed below. There will be no separate discussion of these items. If discussion is desired on any item, that item will be considered separately. Does anyone from the council have an item on the agenda to discuss separately? Okay. Anyone from the public have an item on our consent agenda that you would like to speak about? What item, ma'am? I'm sorry, it's on the consent agenda. It's from A through S, and on, all right, that's where we're on right now, A through S. Anybody?
Seeing none, I move to close the public comments portion.
Second.
Motion made by Councilwoman Yurick, seconded by Councilman Latano, to move the consent agenda in totality. Councilwoman Yurick.
Just to close the public portion
Is this
first.
just to close the public portion?
The
And
public
to
comment?
move the, and are we moving the agenda?
Don't we do that separately?
I'm sorry, excuse me, to close the public comment portion, moved by Councilman Yurick, seconded by Councilman Latano. Councilwoman Yurick.
Yes.
Councilman Latano.
Yes.
Councilman Kopp.
Yes.
Councilman Roderick.
Yes.
Councilman Turnbach,
Yes.
Council Vice President Gagan,
Yes.
Council President Maruka.
Yes. Motion on the consent
Move
agenda,
the
please?
consent agenda.
Second.
Motion made by Councilwoman Yurick, second by Councilman Turnbach, to move in totality, the consent agenda. Councilwoman Yurick,
Yes.
Councilman Turnbach,
Yes.
Councilman Kopp,
Yes.
Councilman Latano,
Yes.
Councilman Roderick,
Yes.
Councilman, Vice President Gagan,
Yes.
Council President Maruka.
Yes.
Next item, we do not have any reports at this meeting, so we will move on to the bills.
Move the bill list.
Second?
Motion made by Councilman Turnbach, second by Councilwoman Yurick. Councilman Turnbach,
Abstain from PO 20-00684 payable to the magistrates. PO 19-00863, 20-00383, and 20-00271 payable to law office of Dasty McGuckin. I have a conflict with both. Yes to the balance.
Councilwoman Yurick.
Abstain from PO 20-00382 payable to Remington and Vernick Engineers, and PO 20-00684, only line 18 as it pertains to recreation salaries, and PO 20-00162 payable to the Borough of Lavallette. Yes to the balance.
Councilman Kopp.
I abstain from the following POs: 20-00272, payable to Owen and Little Associates, and 20-00851, payable to Silverton First Aid. Yes to the balance.
Councilman Latano.
I have one abstention, please. PO 20-00382, yes to the balance.
Councilman Roderick.
I have no conflicts. I vote yes.
Council Vice President Gagan.
I abstain from purchase order 20-00851, Silverton First Aid Squad, yes to the remaining.
And Council President Maruka.
Abstain to PO 19-00863 and 20-00383 payable to Dasty McGuckin, 20-00271 payable to Gregory McGuckin, and 20-00684, payable to Toms River payroll item number 88, NJM MVC, and also 20-00148 payable to NJMVC. I have a conflict. Yes to the balance.
Next are elected officials' comments.
Thank you. Mayor, any comments this evening?
Thank you, Council President. Just to note, both of the redevelopment areas in town, the downtown redevelopment and Hooper and Cardena redevelopment areas, those projects are moving forward. Also, a little hopeful, Governor Murphy had his budget presentation today, and there's $50 million in there, I understand, for school funding. I don't know, I didn't hear the whole budget message, whether he outlined the individual schools, but it's my sincere hope that Toms River, along with Brick in our area, that suffered probably the largest cuts, that we're in that mix. So I am hopeful. I'll reach out tomorrow, call Trenton and see if I can get further information, but hopefully we're going to be getting some of that money restored. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Guardian.
I'm regarding the wells?
Yes. If you
Yes.
could statement for me, please.
There's a statement that is in our website that we posted on Friday. I'd like to read it into the record. Residents who reside in the vicinity of Windsor Avenue, Oceanic Drive, and Petty Street, who are not connected to city water, are advised that the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection is conducting well water testing due to evidence of groundwater contamination. Approximately 1 year ago, the township was contacted by a resident who notified that their well had tested positive for both TCE and PCE. The information was immediately forwarded to the New Jersey Department of Protection for guidance. The township Also provided homeowner information of the surrounding area, for which the department conducted several rounds of well testing. Throughout this time, the township has been in contact with NJDEP about this matter, and on Wednesday, February 19, 2020, the township received some preliminary data from NJDEP. While a majority of the wells tested negative for these compounds, 3 additional wells did test positive. The department is now widening the testing area accordingly. The township continues to provide information and support to NJDEP and will convey additional information once received. To date, the township has been provided with the following information. Of the initial 41 wells, 5 tested positive, 10 tested negative, and 26 owners were not giving access for the well testing. NJDEP plans to expand the testing area to include another 42 wells extending several hundred feet from any well that tested positive. Historically, there's been some wells adjacent to this area that had tested positive in the past, and city water was extended to those areas. Until now, wells in this area were not affected. The mayor is meeting with representatives from DEP this Friday to continue the investigation.
Thank you, Mr. Guardian. Councilman Latano.
I have no comments today. Thank you.
Councilman Roderick.
I have no comments either.
Councilman Kopp.
No comments, Council President.
Councilwoman York.
Of course, I have to say something. So, the theater company on the corner of Main and 166 is back at it again with their 2020 season. So they're going to be presenting the play Puffs, which is about the other people at Hogwarts, not Harry, on March 13th, that weekend, the weekend of March 20th, and the weekend of March 27th. So, and you can check out the website for Exit 82 Theater Company for more information and ticket sales. And also, just to reiterate what we said before about the event on March 7th, that is called Voter Girl, and it is for Girl Scouts of all ages. You can go to the website for the Girl Scouts of the Jersey Shore for registration information. They do have to register in advance, and it is, as we said before, presented by the League of Women Voters, honoring the 100th anniversary of the passing of the 19th Amendment, which allows Council President Maruka and I to vote and to actually be eligible to be up here.
Up here on the stage,
So,
yes.
I hope whoever, if you know any Girl Scouts, let them know about it. So that's it.
Thank you, Councilman York. Councilman Gagan.
I have no further comments. Thank you.
Councilman Turnbach.
Thank you, Council President. I'd like to echo the comments of our mayor with regard to the $50 million that was referenced today in our governor's State of the Union, State of the Budget address. In particular, I really want to thank our Board of Education members. One of them is here, Ms. Williams. We thank you for your tireless advocacy on behalf of our children and our students, because there's no doubt without the actions of the Board of Education, which is elected but really is a volunteer basis, and the hours that these Board of Ed members put in, they really deserve a lot of credit here, because they organized bus trips to Trenton. We were on 2 of them. They've organized phone banks, letters, and obviously their actions are being heard, because the governor has, I've read his address today, he set aside $50 million to stabilize their finances without cutting vital student programs, which was what the intention of our Board of Education was, and you're all to be commended, and I hope you take that message back from the council to the Board of Education. We appreciate you, and our children appreciate you. I want to say thank you to the council as well tonight for the approval of resolutions R and S. It's an important step forward in Toms River. It's really to do with the site plan, but the site plan is for Ocean First Bank, and Ocean First Bank is an important commercial facility down here, and they are looking to expand in Toms River, and with that expansion, it looks like we'll receive about 200 more corporate jobs to Toms River with the expansion of that building. So another very positive step for Toms River, for our residents, and we're always looking to grow our economy and offer more corporate jobs, and R&S are an important step in that process. That's all I have for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Turnbuck. As Mr. Guardian read this statement in regard from the DEP, I also will be attending that the meeting with the mayor and our staff on Friday. As soon as we do get more information, we will be passing along to the residents, specifically in that area. On a lighter note, on last Friday evening, our police department had their second annual dodgeball tournament. The mayor was in attendance, Councilman Hurick, myself, Prosecutor Bill Heimer was there, and also the chief, and most of I think the department, and I think a lot of the children from our town were there that really participated. They were also supported by a lot of the other police departments in the area, and it raised a lot of money for the Unity Tour, which is something that our officers participate in. It's a bike ride to DC, and it is in honor of fallen officers. So they did, hats off to the police department for a great job with the event. Second year, they moved it from High School East over to the arena by High School North, and it worked out extremely well. That's all I have. I'm just going to open it up for public comment. For the public comment portion of the meeting, we have a 5-minute rule. If you want to comment, please raise your hand. Once called upon, come to the microphone, and then you can state your name and address for the record. Ma'am?
Good evening, everybody.
You can pull that microphone down.
I'm short. My name is Artis Cohen. I live at 492 Eagle Point Drive in Toms River, New Jersey. And I am here on behalf of the hundreds of Second Amendment law-abiding citizens of this town. As you know, the resolution passed for Ocean County that Governor Murphy's broadly sweeping laws and draconian laws are making it almost impossible for us to be law-abiding citizens. Every time he makes another red flag law that infringes on our Second Amendment and our Fourth Amendment. So we just hope that you all can consider that when that comes.
Okay. Great. I know that was passed along to Council Vice President Gagnon and myself, and we forward it to the rest of the council, and we will take it under advisement and see what the council wishes on that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for speaking this evening. Anyone else from the public? Kathy?
Catherine Crisafulli, 420 6th Terrace, Wortley Beach, New Jersey. As most of us know here, this is the last town council meeting before the mediation schedule sessions between Toms River Township and the owners of the Surf Club. And I would just like to say a few words in favor of the purchase. The government has offered Toms River $6.6 million towards the purchase. It's a lot of money, and we really don't want to lose it. The purchase of the property would put Wortley Beach, Toms River Township on the map. You know, you already have the jewel. Let's put the diamond in it. In any mediation schedule session, there's no winners and there's no losers. A successful mediation is when both parties stand up from the table and walk away satisfied. It's done. I'd like to wish Mr. Guardian and the other people that will be there the very best of luck on March 5th.
Thank you, Kathy. Right in the back.
Kathy Lazaro, Toms River. Boy, does this meeting not sound the same or look the same without Carol Benson here. I'd just like to say that. And congratulations, Mayor Hill, and my neighbor, Matt Latano, and the rest of the people here. Maria, I have just maybe a couple questions on the ordinance of number 11 with the animal shelter. I assume that's going to be to raise the fees at the shelter for dog.
It's on the table for raising the fees at the next council meeting, which is on March 10th. We will have a second reading of that, and we will be taking public comment. So if anyone in the public wants to comment, then you can more than comment on it this time, but we've just voted for first read, so we can go to a public hearing on it.
Right, because I just want to know, as being a very advocate, for any of the animals and all the rescue people we have, it seems at times some of these animals could get good homes, and the reason is a lot of times it's the fees that stop people from. I know it takes a lifetime too, it's food and everything else, but sometimes it has to do with the fees. And again, like you said, there's going to be another reading about it on May 10th.
March 10th.
On March 10th, I'm sorry. I also have another question. I remember in recent years, like Chief Mastronati used to attend all the public meetings here. Does Chief Little attend them?
Chief Little's here sometimes with us. He's not with us tonight, but he was at, I think, our last meeting when we had police promotions and things like that.
Right, but he doesn't attend regularly. Like Chief Mastronati, I would almost say, was at every single...
Chief Mastronati never slept.
Well, hello?
He still does it. I'm sure he's in every...
I know he doesn't, but
Now it's
I
not
mean,
Toms River,
it's
all
just a
Ocean
question I had, like, with the canine, where a lot of times if it was something to do with the police department, maybe it's a question that the chief could answer. I don't know if the council could answer something with the canine officer dogs in the town. Do we still provide lifetime medical for the animals after they retire from their positions here?
Yes, the administrator's saying yes, so we still do
Okay.
that, Kathy.
That's all I wanted
Okay,
to know.
great.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Congratulations again, Matt.
Anyone else from the public? Michelle?
Thank you, Councilman President Maruka, and thank you, Councilman Tornbeck, for that, for those kind words. This is the third time I've come before you in the new year, and I was remiss at each time, so focused on our school budget issues that I neglected to congratulate the new members of the board and our new mayor, since I was so intimately involved in the process, Councilman Keegan, Councilman Latano, Mayor Hill. I leave one out because I am not only congratulate Councilman Kopp, but it fills me with great pride. Because he's one of my own, one of my graduates from St. Joseph Grade School. So I am so, you have no idea the pride I take seeing one of my graduates sitting up here. So congratulations. Thank you.
How many times was he in the office?
He's about as red as
So we get to blame you when he messes up?
And so I congratulate all of you, and I wish you well and be successful, because your success in your leadership will help all of us in Toms River. So to the governor's message today, about an hour before he went on, Dave Healy, our superintendent, received a phone call from his aide and said, yes, there was going to be, and this was his words, yes, there's going to be $500 million for school districts like Toms River. But there's a caveat. And this is the caveat. Keep in mind that we need to get our budget to the state by May 14th, which is only, 2 months away. This $500 million will have to, of course, now go through the assembly, and things will change, and we hope it's still going to be there. But if it's still there, then on the aide told our superintendent that in June, now remember, we have to submit our budget in May. In June, it then will be, if it's approved, then all the districts that need this extra aid can apply. Then there will be a system where we will be able to come before them with a group of people to explain why we need the money, and that's June. Then in July, they will announce, possibly, maybe I have it backwards, maybe it was in July, it's July that we can apply for this extraordinary aid. And then, so groups will go before to say why we need that money. Then in the fall, late fall. So what's that? What's late fall, November? We have to have our budget done because it will be that school year. So he said, you have to go forward with the budget that you have, with the money that you know you're getting and what you're not getting. So we're still back to where we are for the 2021 school year. So just as, we wanted you to know that because we knew it ahead of time, and we wanted to let everyone know, because I know the public thinks this is great, we got the money, and we don't have it for next year. So just as a private citizen, I say this, I would love to have extra beachfront in Ortley Beach. I go to Ortley Beach because I live down in Shelter Cove, and so my beach membership always applied to the Shelter Cove Beach and Ortley. So for 20, 30 years, we've been going there. Now, of course, I'm a senior citizen, and I have that great free badge. However, so Ortley Beach is our home, but I can assure you that the families in Toms River would rather you focus any additional funds on our schools, because what are we going to, so far, we're going to lose, more people will be let go. Definitely class sizes will be larger. And there are other cuts which I can't even discuss, or that hasn't even been decided yet. So we're in hot water for the 2021 year. Whatever we can do together, we would be most grateful. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle.
You're welcome.
I think we talked about the process, and I believe the governor sets forth a budget, kind of like what the mayor does, and then it has to be approved by the Senate and the Assembly by July 1st. And at that time, if they did not cut that $500 million out of the budget, then the schools would be able to apply for it. That seems like the process.
50 million. It's 50 million.
I'm sorry, 50 million. So it'd be too late for this school year, but I'm sure Toms River schools will be applying no matter what for their portion of that 50 million. And I would just urge the public to contact their legislatures to keep that $50 million in the budget for schools like Toms River, and especially Toms River. And I know our neighboring community of Brick is in the same boat as well. Okay, anyone else from the public? Debbie, I saw you.
Council President, one question.
Yes, Mayor.
Can't the budget be amended, though? I know when we get grants during the course of the year, we have it amended in our budget. I think the school board should have the same ability if they get the extra funding to amend the present budget to account for those additional funds. Wouldn't that be the case?
There should be a process. Michelle, can I ask you to come to the mic, please?
Emergency aid, and they gave us $800,000. Then we asked them for more, and we were denied. So that's the other thing we're worried about. If they denied us with this, well, we're still going to, of course, apply for everything we can, but we have $800,000. So it's about $5 million minus $800,000 is where we're at a loss.
But if you get the money, you'd be able to amend the budget this year.
No, because we cannot create a budget that's unbalanced. We will have to cut those jobs for next year.
What I'm saying is, if you get the additional money, could you shoot that?
In November, but it won't be to us until in late fall. So the state, I don't think the state will allow us to present a budget saying, if we get the money, this is our budget.
Hopefully, if the budget's passed, this money is in there.
It will help us in the 21-22 budget. So we know that, but we're still in the hot water now with this.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Debbie, I see you had your hand up.
Can we just clarify where the money comes from for the surf club purchase?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a grant.
Yes, yes.
It's a
The money
grant from the state,
Surf
from Blue
Club
Acres.
Purchase it is. It's Blue Acres and Green Acres dollars. There's a portion of it.
So we wouldn't be able to give that to the schools.
There's a portion of it that the township would be putting in. I think it's close to around $400,000 right now, and then the rest would be the Blue Acres and the Green Acres funding.
But the township's portion is the required portion.
It is. You do need a match in there. Debbie?
Debbie Martin, 1921 Ocean Avenue. First of all, I'd like to echo what Kathy said earlier about whatever needs to be done. I understand about the schools, but one way of helping Ortley is also helping the schools. Because if we make more money with the increased beach and the revenues from whatever you have planned, and that's one way to make more money. Also, I think the people, Mr. Guardian mentioned that we want a pavilion, things like that. I think the people in Ortley Beach mostly would like to get rid of, even though I love the surf club, I was the biggest fan. Nobody loves it more than I did. It's an eyesore. It's an eyesore, and it needs to go. And whatever we need to do to help that, we need to do it. Also, I just picked up a letter the night before. There was a planning board meeting, which I mean, Mr. Yogen, I think you're on the planning board, for the condos that are non-existent next to the surf club. Whatever, I don't know what anybody can do on the council to help the planning board decide, but I'd like to see those people get back in and build, and that's more tax money in Ortley Beach pocket. So whatever we can do.
I was going to say this governing body, even though Councilman Gagan is on the planning board, we cannot discuss any planning board applications or comment on anything that comes before the planning board or the Board of Adjustment.
Okay.
So, I mean, public you can, we cannot.
Okay. But, and again, I know I usually open my big mouth, but Mr. Guardian, we don't need big wide boardwalk. We don't need pavilions. Ortley just wants to have their beautiful beach back the way it was, and long, and unfortunately, no surf club.
Thank you, Debbie. Anyone else in the public? Yes.
My name's Robert Steigelman, 17 Harborside Drive East, and I didn't really come prepared to say anything, but as long as I'm here, I might as well say what's on my mind. The residents in the area where the street's going to be elevated, the streets are going to be elevated, got letters that we're supposed to sign off on.
Okay, you're saying the 6th Terrace area?
6th Terrace, Harborside Drive East and West, and Mariner and Spindrift. The questions that myself and a lot of our neighbors who have not signed, not a lot, but my immediate neighbors have not signed, is because the letter that we got is very general. It's not specific as to what is going to happen to our properties. Okay. On top of that, my next door neighbor had talked to Bob, and there was questions about the number of storm drains and where they're located, and he was told that that hasn't been finalized yet. I have 2 exposures on my property, one on Spindrift and the other one on Harborside Drive East. The storm drain on Spindrift is exactly right over where my water comes in from the street, and it doesn't seem like that's a reasonable place to have a storm drain. And the one in the front of my house, my neighbor, they're sort of like adjacent to each other across the street, is right over where his water comes into his house. My next door neighbor talked to Bob, and he was told that the storm drain locations have not been finalized yet. And I guess the question is, the people who are more knowledgeable about all this than I am feel that the work on our properties needs to be much more specific than what it is right now. Right now, it's just asking for us to sign off for the township to have access to the property.
Well, I just think the easements, the letters went out there because they had meetings with all the residents in that area, and it was going to decide on what elevation it was going to be.
Right.
And it went for the majority of the people, I believe it was 18 inches
Yes.
for that project,
Yes.
Mr. Tinkalian. And then as the people were receiving letters, I know you have been getting individual calls from every homeowner, and you've been taking that one-on-one time with them to explain to them the process. Bob, have you spoken with Bob already?
Just give a brief update, just to clarify a few things. We had 2 public meetings on this project, and I'd also like to note that we've completed 5 projects successfully. We've never had to have 2 public meetings, but we did have a separate meeting with the public. Each resident was provided a detailed map of the shaded areas, of the areas that are going to be disturbed on the property, along with an itemized list of things that are going to be, disturbed on the property. Your pavement, driveway, stone. So that was provided to everybody. Well, let me finish, sir. So I have also, 2/3 of the people have already signed the agreements based on that information. I am holding individual meetings with any resident who wants to come to town hall so I can explain the drawings to them in further detail, which I've done probably at least 30 of your neighbors already, which I'm gladly to do with you as well. As to your question about inlet locations, as I've said in the past, if, and we've never had this before, we've always had 100% sign up on all of these projects. But if somebody doesn't, since the majority of the people want to move forward with the project, we may have to shift the catch basin or design around a property. I've said multiple times, I think that's a mistake. I think the town wants to put a lot of money into the neighborhood. These projects have proven very successful in the past. We know what we're doing with these. Our consultant has done these successfully. The Department of Transportation is continually giving us grants and increasing the value in the grants. So, but I'm more than happy to meet with you again. But shifting a catch basin a couple feet to the right or left to move a water valve, that's not an issue to stop the project.
But shouldn't we be able to see exactly where the catch basins are going to be?
The proposed catch basins are on, if there's a proposed catch basin in front of your property, it's shown on the map that you were provided.
I know, but it's right exactly over my water meter pipe.
He can adjust that. Like he just said, they can adjust that a few feet. Maybe you need to sit down one-on-one with the map with Bob so he can go over everything specifically with you. And Bob, if you want to invite your neighbors also, so he can meet with you, because if we're 2/3 of signed off, that means we have 1/3. How many homes were in that project?
It was about 86, I think 86 to 90 letters went out.
Okay.
I mean, they're
So
straggling
we
in
have
every
about-
day. I mean, we're going to send another letter out to the
There's
remaining
about 25 or
30.
30 more that are
Yeah.
still out there. Bob, I'd urge you to sit down with Mr. Chincallion, go over everything so everything is clear to you and you can ask any questions that you have. And if your neighbors want to join you in that meeting, I'd urge that, because he's been doing the one-on-ones. Okay?
Okay.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chincallion. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Tony Napolitano. I'm at 1A West Harborside Drive, Ortley Beach. I had a nice meeting with Jack Lanian, and one of the storm drains is going to be modified. They're going to connect the storm drains in my area, and I have a storm drain directly going through the middle of my driveway. So I'm a little concerned about that. There's no easement on it. He's going to write up an easement for me and see if it's acceptable.
Okay.
If we want to, I was originally requesting that the storm drain be moved over to more towards the property line, because that would be a straight line rather than a diagonal line through my driveway. And we'll see, because in the future it'll be difficult to develop if we wanted to sub.
Sure. Look, Mr.
property.
Chincallion's available. Mrs. Napolitano, if you do want to meet
I'm
with
just
him.
concerned because they're connecting.
And
storm-
please, bring those concerns to
And,
Mr. Chincallion.
I will.
Before this goes to final.
The other thing is, with the Ortley Beach, Barcelona property.
The surf club property.
And the mediation meeting, I advocate for the township to take that over rather than a private developer come in, because it'll really attract more taxpayers to that area. if a private developer comes in and they might close off the street, it might be
The
very...
township, no, we've had 2 developers come with plans, and this council, well, not this council, the prior council and the council before that has said, no, we're not vacating a street to put a development in Ortley Beach.
Okay.
That was crystal clear, that's why that development has come off the table.
Okay, because that was discussed in one of the...
It was just, yeah, for like 2 seconds.
Yeah, so we're all concerned about that, but it would be so nice to have a community area in that spot, or just to have that spot for usage and for, because Ortley Beach really isn't that large, and that would take up a space if it was developed privately. And so I'm advocating for that. And as far as the funds go, for the Board of Ed, I have an idea with the funding to, I understand that there isn't a educational foundation here present, and I was the president of an educational foundation in another town way back when, and I know that the funds, when you get grants, the funds can be funneled through the foundation to the Board of Ed in an easier way, in a more legitimate way, where the monies can supplement the tax base and take care of projects that the school systems
The
can't
needs of the schools.
necessarily
I know
fund.
Councilman Turnbach has been looking into that, and he has brought up that as an idea, and I think everything's on the table for any way we can
Be happy to speak
help
with
the
you about
schools.
that after.
So if you need any help with that,
Thank
I
you.
do
That would
have
be
some
great.
experience in an educational foundation, getting
Great.
that done. And also with the funds for the budget cuts with the, I was thinking, what about the transportation expenses? Can we cut out some of that? Because I know in the other towns, sometimes they only, give the necessary transportation. They allocate budgets for necessary transportation.
I think that's
Within 2 miles.
a good question, and that's
Rather than
posed-
jobs being,
Right.
rather than teaching jobs and things like that, I was wondering if they looked into cutting that.
I am sure that they have, but Mrs. Napolitano, that's a great question for the school board. I know they do have, they've gone back and forth with that transportation budget. And what I'd ask you to do, if you could please leave your contact number with the clerk.
Sure.
And I know that Councilman Turnbuck and myself will be contacting you. And if you have any concerns, I urge you with the project to meet with Mr. Chinkalian and
Yes,
have them,
I will.
have them all answered for you, okay?
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your time. Yes, sir.
Jeff Sasso, 1509 Caroline Lane. 2 things. I hope next meeting you guys decide to support the Second Amendment resolution. I'd like to see it on the agenda. Hopefully maybe get it passed that night. Second thing is the school budget. Every part of the school, they're cutting. The drivers, the bus drivers, every part. So it's not, there's no more money to get from any more departments other than to let people go, which is totally the wrong thing to do. But that's pretty much it.
Okay.
And hopefully we see the Second Amendment resolution next.
I certainly support the
Thank
Second
you.
Amendment resolution, and I
Thank
know
you, Jeff.
Mr. Gagan does as well, so we should move on that.
Yes, sir.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jason Buto. I am a Lacey resident, 2115 Lacey Road. I am also part of the New Jersey Second Amendment Sanctuary group that is in charge of getting these resolutions out and getting people on board with the Second Amendment. Obviously, the name sanctuary has nothing to do with these resolutions if you've read them. We're not asking you to become a sanctuary. We're asking you to support Second Amendment firearms owners. We're asking you to oppose any new laws. We have a big problem in this state. There is no law written that allows us firearm use. We have exemptions that are written. Every single firearm owner is an illegal firearm owner unless they fall within an exemption. That's the way New Jersey has made these laws. It's impossible to get a carry permit. It's impossible, it takes forever to get a firearms ID card. Carol Brown was trying to get a permit. She was killed in the process waiting. These laws are ridiculous in this state, and we've tried to fight it at the state level for years. We get laughed at, and we get thrown out. Nobody wants to hear from us, and we're not bad people. We're all good people, and we'd be the first to stand behind any officer that's getting hurt. It's time that we get our local councilmen and women to stand behind us, because we're tired of being, we're the victims here. We're the ones that are getting hurt. We're the ones that can't even talk about being firearms owners without being looked at as bad people. We're not bad people. There's a lot of false information going around about firearms and gun owners. A lot of false information, and the media is the worst. I'm just asking that you consider the resolution. We understand that we have to follow the laws that are on the books. We're not asking you to protect us from that until we can change them. But we are asking you to please oppose any new laws and stand with us.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Butow. Anyone else from the public? Anyone else for public comment?
Seeing none, move to close the public portion comment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Council's pleasure?
Move to go to executive session?
We need to adjourn. Motion to adjourn.
Move to executive session.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
My address and my name.
Close the wall.
No patent warrants. I just gotta scoop my bag out of here. Knocked it over at my chair, Aunt. No.
Whereas Section 8 of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975, permits the exclusion of the public from a meeting in certain circumstances to discuss matters requiring confidentiality and/or of a privileged nature, and whereas the Township Council is of the opinion that such circumstances presently exist. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Toms River in the County of Ocean and State of New Jersey as follows. The Township Council will now conduct a private executive session. The general nature of the subject matter to be discussed and/or acted upon is as follows. Matters of personnel, matters of litigation, settlement of claim and land acquisitions. The following specific items to be discussed and/or acted upon are as follows. The review with Redevelopment Council, the status of downtown redevelopment projects, the executive session minutes review of February 11, 2020, personnel issues of both the Township Clerk's Office and Administration, review of status of all real property acquisitions, voluntary acquisitions and eminent domain actions, the Toms River MUA, discussion of 2012 study report of the former business administrator and related issues, legal review of laws and privileges applicable to matters discussed in executive session. It is anticipated that the deliberations conducted in closed session may be disclosed to the public upon the determination of the Township Council that the public interest will no longer be served by such confidentiality.
Joanne and the staff here, they went and they took a look at, they took a look at other.
Motion to go into executive session made by Councilman Roderick, seconded by Councilman Yurick, with all in favor at 6:56 p.m.
Provisions in there for exemptions. Right.
Not him. He had his dog though, but I'm saying that, I think maybe that could be increased too, because you're the one now that has the burden of leaving your dog there because you don't want it.
Because you don't want it. And I know one of the prices was gonna be if the dog was older, it was lower for an older dog to try to encourage an older dog to be adopted.
Even at public, like your dog, same thing, you always try to, because everybody wants to cover it.
But she's so charismatic. She's such a great candidate. She does a lot of energy for Congress. A lot of energy. This was in 2014. You were she was 50 grams of marijuana. Most people say 50 grams of marijuana. She's aggressively at you. That's a lot of marijuana. It's almost 2 ounces of marijuana. That's like you're a dealer. Is it? You gotta see the video if you want. You want me to send you a text? I'll send you a text. It's pretty, it was professional done, so it was like something else. Tremendous amount of money from a very affluent family that's got Cornell and everything else, and he wanted to run for Congress. And the president did what he did, but they put him on stage. And that's why I was like, you know what, I'll go talk to the guy right there. They put him on the stage by the president. That's a big deal. That's a big deal. We'll see what the heck happens. But they'll definitely be proud. Good seeing you. And good luck. In college? You're okay. Where'd you go? Oh, awesome. You must be so smart. You look very young. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Sorry.
No, it's okay, no problem. Oh, you did?
Can you let me in? I don't have my card.